So I was rummaging around in my closet last night when I had to do an anime review upload on my main channel. I wanted to pop something in to have playing in the background because the upload, it was a pre-recorded video. Luckily I didn't have to do any editing, but it topped out at about 17 and a half minutes, and I knew it was going to take for fucking ever to get the fucking video uploaded. So I had to put something in, and because of Spider-Man: Homecoming, a lot of people are all abuzz about how good it is, and I can't go see it right now. So I had Spider-Man on the brain, and I decided to pop in the second Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, with Doc Ock and everything, and it's my favorite one of those, so I figured I'd pop it in. I was debating heavily whether or not I wanted to watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 2, and I opted for, the Tobey Maguire one. And the box that I have the DVDs, and I have all my DVDs, most of my DVDs, put away in boxes in my closet. The one I had to get into actually had some disc boxes on the top of where I had to then, reach in and actually get the Spidey. And those disc boxes ended up being my PS3 game collection. I only ever bought, at least as far as my memory serves, 4 games that I still currently possess to this day. Those being Final Fantasy 13, Ghostbusters the video game, Grand Theft Auto 4, and Metal Gear Solid 4. And I can't tell you how much I fucking miss playing these games. For those who may not be aware, my PS3, I had to break the bank to afford a PS3 when the PS3 came out. I think it wasn't until a full year, maybe even 2, after it had initially launched that I was finally able to afford one. Massive saving, month after month after month. Finally got one, and I think I had it for a couple of years. I'm not sure, maybe 2, 3, something like that. I don't think it lasted that long. It lasted long enough for me to play Metal Gear Solid all the way through almost 10 times. And GTA 4 I'd completely beaten. Ghostbusters I'd completed 3 or 4 times. And in the case of Final Fantasy 13, this was the last one I ever bought, the last game I ever bought. So I only made it about, I think, halfway into it, which I've heard people telling me, and I've heard people just talking about who've played Final Fantasy 13. Basically, it seems like the general consensus is, the game is kind of slow and really slow to get moving, slow to get going, up until the point where I left off. The last capability I had of playing up to that point in the story, then things get interesting after that. Even though I found the game to be wholly investing and interesting, all those early stages that are supposedly not as interesting. But so my PS3 went Wylod, as they say, succumbed to the yellow light of death. And it was unserviceable. I didn't have money to begin with. I could hardly afford games. Getting a game, was such a rarity for how much they cost, like $60 per something like that. It was nonsensical for me to think about, packing it up and shipping it back to Sony, having them repair it, having it sent back. I'd seen nightmare stories about how, they get their repaired, air quotes, PS3 back, and it lasted for 2 days in one case, 2 weeks in another, 2 months if the guy was lucky. It has something to do with the cheap glue or the cheap grease they would put internally to it. The mechanism would overheat and it would melt and evaporate that grease away, and so it had a tendency to overheat that much more and melt the internal mechanisms and the save drive and everything like that, whatever like that, and so it was just a real pain in the ass scenario that I'm like, I'm not gonna waste that much more money I don't even have to get this thing back, and I might get maybe another couple days or weeks out of it, you know. My cousin actually had sent his PS3, which it was operable, but it was having disk drive problems, you know, putting in the game disc and everything, getting it out again, I think was what the ordeal was. And he said maybe you can harvest the drive out of it, or the internal mechanism, and put it into yours and get it working. Unfortunately, you would lose all your save data if you try to do that. It's something you can accomplish, but you would lose everything, every bit of save data. There was no backup. I had no online connectivity. I've never been about connecting online. I never had the capability or the funding to do so. And so it became, you know, this drain circling where literally, I think probably the year before I started making videos, 2011, I started making videos on YouTube, was when my PS3 died. And I've never had a modern console after that. I still have, for the moment, thankfully, fingers crossed, a working PS2, and I only have like 4 or 5 games from that console. As well as out in my living room, I got like a Sega Genesis and an N64, but that's about all there is in my house, gaming-wise. And I put so many hours, especially into this one, GTA 4, playing it over and over and over again, where I still pop in San Andreas. I had beaten San Andreas ages ago, and I still play it over and over again. And I was playing Ghostbusters on and off, but the most replayable one besides GTA 4 was MGS4. And it was so fucking fun, and so many hours invested into playing these. And as far as I know, I never wiped the memory core on my PS3. It's in a box somewhere. It's just, you know, I still carry this flame, this torch of hope that someday I'll be able to play these games again, even if I lost all the memory save data. I can't even tell you, like, the substantial weight of each of these game boxes because of all the information that comes in there. I mean, they feel substantial, and I prefer this, you know, the physical medium to the digital, the downloads and everything like that. I hate all of that. DLC and whatever like that. I hate all of that. I'd much rather have game discs that I can play and own, you know, personally. But I haven't been able to play these games in so many years. I think we're going on a decade almost, maybe, kind of. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe a little less, but it feels like eons ago that I've been able to play these. And I recorded a lot of like the cut scenes and footage on VHS tapes, which I sometimes pop in and play back. Same with how far I got in Final Fantasy 13. Not so much GTA. I mean, there wasn't really much to record, although I wish I'd record some gameplay footage back in the day, because there are moments like when the main sort of protagonist, I guess, the main character, Nico, whenever, like, I'm against drinking and all of that, straight edge, whatever like that, but you get him drunk, and then you have him hail a taxi, and he's like, "Taxi cab!" And it always got my sister and I laughing our ever-loving asses off. And the whole point of this is just to ramble and rant and say, I miss playing these games so much. I wish I still had a PS3 that worked. I wish I could still play these. Fuck the PS4. That's never going to happen. I owned a Dreamcast once in my life. I did have the original Nintendo only, you know, years after it had come out. As I say, I still got a Genesis. I still got an N64 and a PS2 for now. But I mean, all the stuff I missed in the PS3 era, the Arkham games, Portal, and such like that. I wish I could be playing these games again. Anyone out there who's playing these games of this generation or beyond it, you don't know how fucking lucky you are and how jealous of you I am. I would give anything to be able to play these games again. And so yeah, it's just taking a trip down memory lane, mulling it over, lamenting the fact that I can't be playing these games anymore. And let me know if you have a similar scenario, what you can and can't play, what games are your favorites. Do you love these particular franchises, Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto? Final Fantasy is one I love. I've played 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, and 12. And I have played Tactics a long time ago. But that was kind of like, that was a mess. I really couldn't wrap my head around that one. And all the MGS games, you know, except for the very first two, the Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 that were back in the Nintendo, you know, Famicom days. But yeah, let me know what you love. And if you have similar laments that you can't be playing games in the modern era the way I can't. Because I'll tell you what, fucking sucks.